Just like Thursday, the boat in trouble. This time, Nomura was able to wriggle off the hook with 1:30 to go, and now they hold a favored position.
Not gonna have it. They called to each other.
Game here is to get up to full speed. KR makes his move first, and he'll be going faster when the gun goes off.
Go down below the line. 20. 17. 14. 13. 4, 3, 2, 1, cut.
Another clean start and another good job by Dellenbaugh.
Hi, folks. Another late night stream after having a fairly productive day. Hopefully you can hear me okay and things sound all right. I don't even know. I don't know if anyone's here. But I wanted to really feature and bring out Andrew Seidel's talk at West Texas A&M's Secular Student Alliance. It's remarkable. It's an illustration of what I think allyship looks like. And concern for constitutional democracy looks like. And concern for the health of the republic looks like. The First Amendment, I'm relying on memory here because I didn't really look it up to have it right in front of me, but it reads, Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment of religion or the free exercise thereof. Now, Mr. Seidel is a constitutional attorney plying his trade as an attorney with the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And he knows the law pretty darn well. But he not only knows the law, he knows how to pound the law. The old saying going, you know, if the facts are on your side, pound the facts. If the law's on the side, pound the pound the law. If neither is on your side, pound the table. Well, he's got the first two nailed. Don't have to worry about that. So in this speech, he's addressing something that he's addressing a lot of stuff, and the link to the entire talk, which you should watch, is in the description of this video. In this particular segment, he addresses an action by the president of West Texas A&M University banning drag shows. Now, West Texas A&M University is a state-funded school. The president of the university, on his own, banned a group of college students from putting on a, non-exhibitionist drag show. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of the Hasty Pudding Club. It is a theatrical organization at Harvard University, founded 1630. Ever heard of that place? Yeah. Crystal, is the sound okay? Video okay? Everything going here? Somebody finally showed up in the chat, so I can get some feedback. Anyway, back to the subject. Hasty Pudding Theatrical Club, Harvard University. I don't remember when Hasty Pudding got going, but you know what it is. Again, Harvard, 1630. Kind of founding fathers-ish, Also, a school that was founded to educate to bring up the ecclesiastical docents of New England, the new colony, the Hasty Pudding. The Hasty Pudding was a show. Boys dressing up in dresses and putting on a show. It's been going on for a very long time. But West Texas A&M's president apparently knows better than Harvard University ever did. So I'm going to turn it over to Attorney Seidel at this point. I'm going to shut up and let him do the talking. I don't want to play the whole damn clip, the whole damn thing uninterrupted, because y'all can go watch the whole thing. Please do. I'm starting at 21 minutes 14 seconds into the clip, into the presentation, but the whole thing is well worth your time to watch. Let's go. Okay, let's do this. Boom.
And by the way, church-state separation is what protects true religious freedom. That's one of the reasons so many clergy joined this lawsuit. Church-state separation is the reason that so many Americans believe in so many different religions. So if you are a believer, if you are religious and you oppose church-state separation, you might ask yourself whether everybody in power shares every one of your beliefs. Because they almost certainly don't. And without church-state separation, they are coming for your freedom at some point in the future too. You're only safe without church-state separation as long as it's your people in power. And that, by the way, is exactly what Christian nationalism is all about. So church-state separation protects us all.
It does. And that's why the First Amendment was passed. And that's why Thomas Jefferson, who basically was a primary author of the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, actually he made it a condition of his support for the Constitution that there would be those 10 amendments. Added in short order. I mean, he was serving as the ambassador to France during the whole thing, and he basically read the Constitution, said, well, this is all very well and good, but we really kind of need to spell out some of what we stand for. Andrew Seidel is a constitutional scholar, and I think he'd agree that, yeah, that's why they wrote the fucking First Amendment. They wrote it because there were Puritans in Massachusetts and Quakers in Pennsylvania and Catholics in Maryland and independent Puritans. Read about Roger Williams, the founder of Rhode Island. My goodness. Religious freedom is a foundational part. Religious freedom without religious imposition. That's what the First Amendment is about. Government does not take instruction from religion. This was a key part of the thinking of the founding generation, in large part because they saw what it did to England within a generation or two. They settled these shores. The English settlers settled these shores in the 16 teens, 20s, and 30s. And religious struggle in the home country, in part, some of them came here to escape the changes in the religious battles in the home country, to practice their own faiths and creeds, or lack thereof, in peace. So to say that the United States is a Christian nation is missing the point. The various Christians, the adherents to Christianity, had a lot of that came to these shores early on, had a lot of different versions of what Christianity was, what it meant to them, and they were determined not to go to war the way religious factions had done in the 1650s in England over doctrinal disputes. This is very, very present in the mind of the people whose parents and grandparents came here in the first place. Sorry. Christ's sake. I'm such an idiot. I have to wax on too much. And Seidel's is way more brilliant than I. But please, forgive me.
Church-state separation protects pretty much everything. And church-state separation also protects your drag show. At least it protects students at public universities from overzealous officials who might abuse their power as a university official to impose their personal religion on you and ban your drag show. But West Texas A&M President Walter Wendler doesn't care about, in his own words, what, quote, the law of the land appears to require. Now, I'm going to set the stage for some of you who look a little confused and for people who are watching at home.
Did you hear what this president guy said? Hold on, I'll go back a little bit.
Who might abuse their power as a university official to impose their personal religion on you and ban your drag show. But West Texas A&M President Walter Wendler doesn't care about, in his own words, what, quote, the law of the land appears to require. Now, I'm going to set the stage for some of you who look a little confused and for people who are watching at home. One of the campus groups here, the LGBTQ campus groups on West Texas A&M, Spectrum WT, planned to host a drag show on March 31st as a fundraiser for the Trevor Project, which is an LGBTQ suicide prevention group. And my friends here, Bear and Marcus, who are part of Spectrum WT and also part of WT Secular Student Alliance, go SSA, thank you for hosting this, they committed to a PG-13 drag show. Right? This was a drag show with no lewd conduct, with no profane music, no alcohol, no minors without parents. They jumped through all the hoops. They got the venue approved, the music approved, and they were advertising the event and selling tickets. And 11 days out, President Wendler cancels the show. There are no complaints, just an email from President Wendler canceling the fundraiser. And oh yes, he put it in writing. Now, before I read you some of that misbegotten and godly email, let me just tell you about a few of the events that Wendler, who has been president here since the fall of 2016, did not cancel. Did not cancel the community night of worship and prayer hosted by 4 churches. That was allowed to go forward. Did not cancel One Marriage and Family Ministries, a local organization, not a student organization, which promotes marriage as a, quote, covenant between one man and one woman under God. Now, I have to pause here for just a second because our new Speaker of the House is a big proponent of covenant marriage. He has dedicated his entire career to advancing Christian nationalism, working with some of the most hateful Christian nationalist groups out there, Members of that billion-dollar shadow network that I was talking about before, like the Alliance Defending Freedom, like First Liberty Institute and the Family Research Council. He says that America is a Christian nation. He wants to ban marriage between same-sex couples and ban abortion nationwide. He thinks the state should tax citizens to fund Christian ministries, like Ken Ham's Ark Park, which is that huge ark in Kentucky that argues that dinosaurs were on Noah's Ark and that the earth is only 6,000 years old. He blames mass shootings on the teaching of evolution, among other things, including feminism. He and his wife believe in conversion therapy. He thinks there's a war on Christmas, and he believes that the Bible formed the basis of our Constitution. That's who is second in line for the presidency right now. So back to the event.
All right. I'm an idiot. Thank you, Enter. Please keep me, chat. Please keep me on track here. When I interrupt and go off on a bit of a rant, okay. Basically, what I was saying is that this president guy was a dink. We'll just keep it at that, and let Mr. Seidel continue. Oh God, it was a good rant, yeah, but hey.
That President Wendler has allowed. Also a fundraiser for a Christian camp that promotes a, quote, traditional view of marriage. Those were all allowed to proceed. So why did Wendler cancel the drag show? Because Wendler's personal religious beliefs and prejudice, that's why. And he told us this. He wrote, quote, "I believe every human being is created in the image of God and therefore a person of dignity. Being created in God's image is the basis of natural law." That's not true. James Madison and Thomas Jefferson, prisoners of the culture of their time, as are we, declared the Creator's origins as the foundational fiber in the fabric of our nation as they breathed life into it. Also not true. I could do a whole talk on why those two things are wrong. I mean, I'm tempted to go down that rabbit trail with you all right now, but I won't. If you want, I wrote The Founding Myth, Why Christian Nationalism is my first book, and I get into some of this stuff in it. Or if you want.
Andrew wrote the book in 2019, and it's great. It really is. And I talked about some of that shit right at the beginning of this video. It is nonsense that this was founded as a Christian nation. There's so much documentation about it, and there are good fucking reasons that the people that designed that were instrumental in the design of the American polity as we've known it for so long, since 1789. The separation of church and state was fundamental. In the minds of the people that wrote those documents. Fundamental. And if you look at the history of the 17th century England, where these people's grandparents and parents came from, you'll understand why. Again, Puritans in New England, separatists in Rhode Island, Anglicans in New York, Anglicans in Virginia, Catholics in Maryland, Quakers in Pennsylvania. They couldn't have forged a nation without foreclosing the possibility of the establishment of a religion, of a national faith. They viewed faith as an individual prerogative of a free people. Telling you, you heard that, right? Okay, we'll let the guy with with 2 law degrees carry on.
Want to ask me in the Q&A, I'd be happy to do that. I mean, it's so wrong on so many levels. But he continued, and so shall we. Quote, the WT community should live by the golden rule. As a Christian, I personally learned this in the book of Matthew. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. And while he does mention other religions' versions of this rule, and bizarrely Newton's third law, he is still clearly and openly basing his decision to violate your rights on his personal religious belief. He is abusing the power of a public office at a public university to impose his personal religion on other people. The great Alexander Hamilton, A. Ham, told us that the US president, the United States president, has, quote, no particle of spiritual jurisdiction. No particle of spiritual jurisdiction.
The Federalist
Papers
Papers
presidents of
reference.
state schools as well. Wendler still has more to say. Quote, no amount of fancy rhetorical footwork or legal wordsmithing eludes the fact that drag shows denigrate and demean women. Noble goals notwithstanding. A harmless drag show, not possible. A harmless drag show, no such thing, was also the title he gave this email when he posted it on his blog, which often contains his personal religious views and his musings on how.
I mean, really?
How he should bring those views into the university here. A harmless drag show. No such thing. Not possible. I have questions about that. I really do. So many questions. But here is one. When does drag really become harmful? When does it become a threat?
Okay, folks, you're about to see what allyship looks like. This is why I'm playing this and why I'm doing this video right now. You're about to see what allyship looks like. It's not debating the number of angels in the chorus line waiting to get on the pin. It's not saying we must be nice to the Christian, to the people who are making arguments that the world is 6,000 years old. It's not that. What you're about to see is what allyship is. And why Christians need to be reminded that they're not the only people in the goddamn playground. You're about to see this.
I'm wearing a pink shirt and a pink tie right now. Is pink on a man a threat? If so, how? Because pink is just a color, right? It's just electromagnetic radiation. All visible light falls on the spectrum between like 380 nanometers and 700 nanometers. And pink is just our brains mixing the two ends of that spectrum, violet and red. So how does the electromagnetic radiation interact with my body in a way that is a threat to President Wendler? What if a man, put on earrings? So back when I was in high school, and I was really cool, I had my ears pierced, one of them, I don't remember which one, it was right at the top. I was really cool then. But a lot of guys have their ears pierced. How is this a threat? Or is this a threat to President Wendler? What if I wear A rainbow feather boa. This is getting feathers everywhere. This is sealed in a pack and somehow has still gotten feathers all over all of my stuff. Am I a threat now? Yes? No? Not sure? All right, well, what about this? This is a skirt. This is a skirt. So what if we do that? Because this is not a kilt, right? This is a skirt. So what if I, a man, were to put on a skirt? I already have my pantyhose on. Like, by the way, the founding fathers that Wendler is so fond of quoting, right? They were always wearing pantyhose. Let me just get my pants up here. Yeah. Now, am I a threat now? Now I'm in earrings, a boa, skirt, pantyhose. Is this a threat? If so, how? And if not, let's do it for real. Okay. These are my blue suede shoes. As you can see, these are my high heels. Let me just give me a second here, because listen, I was given instruction on what were appropriate high heels for me to do, and here we go. Okay, so I'm stepping into my heels. So am I a threat now, President Wendler? If so, how? Lost in here. Do I need to what if I show a little more lip? Is this threat more? How is this a threat? I gotta be honest, I don't feel much like a threat. I feel a little fabulous. But I don't feel much like a threat. Drag is not a threat. Drag is a human constant. Since there have been clothes, there has been drag. As RuPaul likes to say, we are all born naked, the rest is just drag. Look, hell, Adam and Eve wore the same thing, fig leaves in the garden, right? Look, you cannot have Shakespeare without sartorial swapping.
This is why I posted the thumbnail to this video is a clip from, or a promotional thing from a USC production of As You Like It. I mean, yeah, the Globe Theater. What, it's so brilliant. What Andrew is doing here is just so brilliant. It's so touching. And as a binary trans woman, to me, it's not about the clothes. It's about who you are. This is where drag and trans sort of intersect, and is an arena where people don't quite get the experience of people like myself. It's like, it's the clothes in the thing. It's not about the clothes for trans people, but it's linked. It's linked in the minds of fundamentalist Christians who are hung up about sex, whether it's straight, well, of course, it has to be straight for them, doesn't it? I mean, come on now. They're obsessed. They're absolutely obsessed. Here. Yeah. Lighten up, Francis. Okay, let me just roll along a little bit more.
And not just because women weren't allowed on stage at the time, but because cross-dressing is a part of the plot in many of his plays. Merry Wives of Windsor, The Merchant of Venice, As You Like It, Twelfth Night, Two Gentlemen of Verona, Cymbeline, The Taming of the Shrew, to name a few. Elsewhere in literature,
As You Like It, it's a whole goddamn play. What are you talking about? And it's a great play. It really is. It's great. Okay.
literature too. Achilles, Hercules, Huckleberry Finn, Eowyn in Lord of the Rings, I Am the Man. Mr. Rochester in Jane Eyre, Lord Byron's Don Juan, the Scarlet Pimpernel, Sherlock Holmes, War and Peace. Hell, in Little Red Riding Hood, you even have a wolf dressing up in women's clothes. Do you have any idea how many movies have stars dressing up as the opposite sex? Tyler Perry has made an entire empire out of his Medea movies. Every piece of clothing you wear every day is selected to give a certain impression, to make others perceive you in a certain way. Suits are drag for professionals. Skinny jeans are drag. Hoodies are drag. It's all made up. It's all drag. Drag is not a threat. Drag is art. Drag is human.
Right.
Drag is beautiful.
Yes, Nitty.
But
Some like it hot.
there is one way in which drag is a threat. And I want to thank Kiara Johnson of the National LGBTQ Task Force for pointing this out at the Summit for Religious Freedom, which was last April. The Summit for Religious Freedom is an amazing event. Registration is now open if you go to thesrf.org. Really recommend it. It's free for students to attend virtually. I hope you will all go. And there are actually also scholarships for students to attend. And Kiara pointed out there that drag, and that really so many LGBTQ people are just a threat to the binary. Alok von Mennen said something like this. He wrote a book about this. My friend Kate Cohen actually wrote about this in the Washington Post back in June, that drag is a threat to the binary. Threats to the binary. That is drag. Drag is a threat to the binary upon which white Christian nationalism depends. Are you straight or not? Are you white?
Fucking critical.
Or not? Are you male or not? Are you conservative or not? Are you Christian or not? Anything more complicated than this binary threatens the narrow world, which reflects only their straight, white, conservative Christian patriarchy. The existence of humanity outside of that binary, let alone the equality of humanity outside of that binary, feels like a threat to them because it threatens their patriarchy. Well then, down with the patriarchy. Woo. Now, Wendler also wrote in his letter that drag is misogyny. Those snickers are an appropriate response. Drag is a rebellion against Wendler's patriarchy, against the Christian nationalist patriarchy. Wendler did not cancel your drag show out of concern for women or women's equality. Wendler canceled the drag show because he was defending the patriarchy, and nothing could be more misogynistic than that. That's what I mean when I say that Christian nationalists are raging against the dying of your privilege. Wendler violated your rights, and if there is any doubt, he confessed. He admitted it. In that letter, he wrote that he canceled the show, quote, even when the law of the land appears to require it.
I know the law. I'm breaking it anyway. Guess what? I think that says these people are lawless. They're a law unto themselves. They believe that the law of the Bible, as they read it, is the only thing they need to obey. You think that works for a nation of 320 million people? I'll tell you what, it doesn't. It doesn't. And it can't. These views are not representative of the views of most of this country. But those people have power. And we've let them have that power. And we need to stop letting them have that power. That's the key. We don't, as far as I'm concerned, we don't need to convert them. We need to stop them. We don't need to debate them. We need to stop them. Most people agree with us. Most people would just as soon let gay people be gay. Let trans people live their lives in peace. Most people do. What those of us at the tip of the spear require is for those of you who are not to stop these people from doing us harm. We don't need you to put them on a debate show. We don't need you to have polite conversations with them about how old the earth is. We don't need you to do any of that shit. We need you to stop them from doing what the president of Texas, West Texas A&M did to that college's community when they wanted to put on a fun fucking drag show. What you're looking at here, people, is what allyship looks like to me. Andrew Seidel is not sitting here proposing to have a debate with Seitan Brudenkate or Ray Comfort or Matt Walsh. What Andrew Seidel is doing here is saying our country won't stand for your trying to impose your theocratic beliefs on everyone here. That's allyship to me.
He knew what he was doing was illegal, but he did it anyway. And that is, I think, incredibly important because you didn't take that line down, you sued. And for this bravery, I really think every one of you deserves a standing ovation, and I'm not kidding, so please stand up and applaud. And I think this is truly an amazing thing that you were willing to do. Bravo. I am in awe of your bravery and your industry and your willingness to fight back against this fascism. Truly, I am. And when I heard the show was canceled, I immediately reached out to Secular Student Alliance National, to Kevin, and I said, I want Americans United to bring this lawsuit. I'm excited. What can we do to help? Kevin said, look, they've already got it covered, but I have been following that lawsuit pretty closely. Unfortunately, Wendler is not the only Christian man who is willing to abuse his power. And that is, again, because Donald Trump and Leonard Leo packed the courts. They packed the federal judiciary with ideologues and zealots. And one of those ideologues is Judge Matthew Kaczmarek. Now, AU, Americans United, has a truly brilliant policy team. And they do all this amazing work behind the scenes on Capitol Hill that we can't tell you about and don't get to talk about, which from a comms perspective can be frustrating sometimes, but they do this really amazing work, including opposing awful judicial nominees. And there have been many, but Matthew Kaczmarek always stood out for me
one of them,
because he actually worked at a Christian nationalist legal outfit based here in Texas, at the First Liberty Institute. And this is where he worked. First Liberty Institute has been on the opposite side of many cases for Americans United, including the case at the Supreme Court that you heard about of the coach imposing his prayer on other people's kids. I've been on the side of a number of cases from them, even from before my time at AU. And First Liberty Institute wants Christian supremacy. It has fought to keep evolution out of public schools and Bible classes, Jesus portrait, and school imposed prayer in those public schools. Now, it wraps this supremacy in the mantle of religious freedom, in the language of religious freedom. That is Kaczmarek's ideology. He was always going to abuse his power. That is why Leonard Leo and Trump wanted him on the bench in the first place. Remember, you don't spend $500 million to put impartial jurists on the court. This was a hostile takeover. And in his short tenure, Kaczmarek has acted like a theocrat who is drunk on power. So far, he has tried to impose a nationwide ban on medication abortion, restricted minors' access to birth control, tried to force the Biden administration to reinstitute Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, openly rejected legal binding decisions of higher courts because they protect LGBTQ equality. Oh, and in Doe versus Planned Parenthood, he seems likely to want to force Planned Parenthood to pay a $1.8 billion penalty. And if you're thinking, wow, that seems like an awful lot of important cases to go before some lowly district judge in the middle of nowhere, Texas, you are right.
You know, I have to say, I am so impressed with Andrew Seidel standing there at that podium, delivering this message, wearing a skirt, a rainbow boa, the blue suede high heels, the whole program. It's just, damn, I wish I could hug him. It's like, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
They are bringing those cases before him on purpose because he is the only judge that can hear them. So when they brought the Mifepristone case, which was organized by the Alliance Defending Freedom, ADF, one of this billion-dollar shadow network, they incorporated the group of plaintiffs just around the corner from the courthouse so that they could bring it in his courtroom. But despite that record, I just want to be absolutely clear here. You are right. You have a right to host a drag show. You have a right to dress in drag. You are right. And by the way, there are judges in Florida and Montana and Tennessee and Utah who happen to agree that drag is free speech and that you are right. Wendler is wrong. Kaczmarek is wrong. The Fifth Circuit, which is actually packed and like one of the most conservative circuits in the country, if not the most, it's more conservative than our Supreme Court. And it's a reason that bringing cases before Kaczmarek is so attractive, because they hear his appeals, and they're likely going to get this appeal wrong. I am a constitutional attorney. I've got 2 law degrees. I've got a host of awards. I've got a small library of publications. I wrote a textbook with another law professor about religious freedom for law students to learn from. I've written 2 popular books on the subject. I've litigated these cases in court. I've spent more than a decade litigating before I moved into comms. And I worked at Americans United for Separation of Church and State, the country's leading defender of that founding principle and the liberties that spring from it. And I am here to tell you, whatever these men say, you are right. And I will link arms and fight alongside you in drag, if necessary. And I'm going to close out because I want to take some questions. I know you have some. I just want to say that America invented the separation of church and state. That's an American original. The idea was born in the Enlightenment, but it was first implemented in the American experiment. It is time that we reclaim that heritage and bury the lies of Christian nationalism. This is not a Christian nation. Our law does not belong to the Christian nationalist. It belongs to we the people, all the people. Whatever you call yourselves, whatever you wear, whoever you love, all the people. And it is about damn time that we take it back. Thank you. So for questions,
it is about damn time we take it back. It is. It is about damn time we stop fucking around. And call these bigots out for who they are and what they represent. They represent the British Crown, who, if Catholic, wants everybody to be Catholic. Who, if Protestant, wants everybody to be Protestant. I mean, the British Crown of the 17th century. That the people who arrived in the English colonies on both sides of my family, that's those people. Came here to get away from. I've often said that the English are the absolute worst people in the world because they colonized everywhere. I mean, they started with Wales and they went to Scotland and then Ireland and then they went to India and then they went to North America, and we were the nastiest of even those, because they couldn't even stand us. It's like, oh, you guys get the hell out of here because you're too rebellious and too mean. So, aside from Americans, I think, or at least WASPs, I'm a WASP. Aside from the English themselves, who are very polite in their oppression of the world, we do them one better. Anyway, that's a little bit of self-denigration. But the people like to talk about the Enlightenment principles that the founding generation of the United States held. Well, yes, they did, but they also had the very practical memory, close on memory of how religion poisons government. And what this college president is bought into, what the man 2 heartbeats away from the presidency of the United States is into, what Ken Ham is into, what so I don't need to go through the catalog of familiar theists that we run into all over the goddamn internet. I don't need to go into their catalog, but what they're into is that they're into establishing Christian dominion And by Christian dominion, they mean their dominion over the governance of this polity. And this polity includes Christians who find their ideas about Christianity repugnant. And what I'm saying to my Christian siblings is, you need to do an intervention. You do. And you need to think, you need to listen to their arguments more closely than atheists do, because we're over that shit. Although some of us seem to be obsessed with it to the point where we do nothing but argue with those guys. Prove our own biblical scholarship. I mean, I think it's curious. I love the idea. I love the stories. I love the Bhagavad Gita. I love the Mahabharata, of which the Bhagavad Gita is a part. I love the Ramayana. I love the Bible. I love the Quran. I love the Book of Mormon. In terms of, wow, somebody wrote this. It's interesting. But it's only a story to me. And I'll take from it what I see there. But not these guys, not the president of that college, not the federal judge that heard the case. Not a bunch of people on the Supreme Court. I mean, they are all in on some of this shit. And they're well funded, and they have a lot of money and clout that comes from the money that they have. And they're all about solidifying that. And that's the issue we need to, I think, and I know I get a little bit passionate about when I call this shit out. But that's what we need to focus on. And what Andrew Seidel did in this talk is what I want to see more of. Because that, I want to see what he's doing. What Americans United is doing to have more focus than some of the other stuff that is not quite as meaningful, really. It's fun. It's cool, but it's, to me, we should be spending our time better. And speaking of which, this was better. This photograph in back of me, my background here was taken at the Better conference in 2022. And we were talking about this very issue at great length, and I hope that I hope the community moves uh, towards a smoother, to a finer focus, because things are critical right now. We're on the cusp of losing a whole bunch that we've worked for, that I personally have worked for my whole life, and that my sister and brother and parents and grandparents and so many of us, it's my heritage, and I hate to see it disappear before my eyes. uh Laura Nero wrote a song uh called, I just thought of this, but I wrote a song called On Christmas. It was on an album called Christmas and the Beads of Sweat. It starts, uh, the song, it goes, "Come, young braves, come, young children, come to the book of love with me. Respect your brothers and your sisters. Come to the book of love. I know it ain't easy, but we're gonna fight for a better day. Come, young braves, come, young children." I love my country as it dies in war and fear before my eyes. I walk the streets where disrespect has been. The sins of politics, politics of sin. The heartlessness that darkens my soul on Christmas. So, right, that's 1969 stuff. And it's the same old shit, you know? It's same old shit, same shit, different day. You can't take your foot off the pedal in fighting fascism and authoritarianism. Too many people let it lie. You can't take your foot off the snake of fascism. You can't. The same people that were the same people that were prosecuting the Vietnam War that were in the streets with dogs and fire hoses to keep black people subjugated. Those same people Roger Stone, one of them guys. Those same people, their ideas are what is motivating the president of Texas, West Texas A&M. The same money that funded them then is funding them now. You can't take your foot off the snake. It'll come and bite you. So my cap is doffed to Andrew Seidel. And the Freedom from Religion Foundation. And the people that are doing the real work. And that's the kind of work I want to do. That's the kind of work we all need to do. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm not I don't know what I'm doing right now. Wait a minute. I'm getting tired. But yeah, I'm just trying to find the comments here. Yeah. Everybody, Jester, Pragmatic Crystal, Casey, Randy, who's been here, Kentucky Atheists, anybody who's still around, the two of you, I think, because I'm watching. Anybody who's still around, please share Andrew's talk. Maybe share this thing too. Like, support, comment, all that stuff. I really want to be part of the I want to work with you all to make for a better day. Come, young braves, come, young children, come make it happen. Love you all. Good night. Thanks for being here. Ciao.